Three. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. It is a joy to be with you today. We have got a lot going on. Don't you feel like you got whiplash? Even
Yes.
though I'm in Livonia, Perryman, gee whiz, I can tell you, it seems like just yesterday we were litigating the 2020 election. We did that for 4 years. Then we had the 2024 election. That was long, but it was abbreviated. And now we have got the Trump presidency. And boy, every day throughout the day, the story changes. But what is growing is opposition to Trump's policies. Make no mistake, he has a hardcore group of supporters. But it's really not even about him, everybody. It really is about people who want change and people who need change. We saw the housing market collapse at the beginning of the millennium. And then we saw Occupy. And we saw the Tea Party as responses to that. And then we saw, of course, in the middle of all of that, that we saw a 2.5-page letter from Goldman Sachs presented to Nancy Pelosi telling her that they need $770 billion. Remember that? Or we would crash the
Yeah,
economy.
of course. I remember that. Remember,
Yeah.
it was 2.5. I thought it was a page long. It was one page, I think.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable. And Americans crashed the communication system at the Capitol. They were so infuriated, Ariel. They said, you can't do this. And so there, and then in the midst of that, you got a black president who did ask the CPC at that time to just give her the money, give them the money. Nancy, give them the money, just do the vote. Some people regretted that, but this is the way it went. And I remember Reverend Al Sharpton saying, well, America is in such dire straits. We now have a black president. It kind of works that way because people were looking for change. That's my point. It's not that President Obama was not qualified. No. What I'm saying is people were looking for change. And in 2016, we still didn't have the change that we needed. So we were between two figures who appeared to be populists, one of whom is a real populist and one who has the mien of a populist, the disposition of a populist language, Bernie and Trump. What Americans have been looking for is someone who would, if you understand the biblical references, someone who would go into the temple and overturn the tables and just make this thing right. That's the story for everybody. Someone who's going to walk into this sacred space and just make things right. So in 2016, seems hard to fathom now, but everybody was saying, look, Bernie or Trump, if they had the opportunity, they just said, one of them will work because they both are taking it to the people. And they were both drawing tens of thousands of people wherever they went. Well, the Democrats pushed Bernie out. The Republicans, while they did not like Trump, they kept him in. They said, well, we're not in love, but we're not going to fall in love with him. That did not happen, but we will fall in line. Perhaps he can help us to achieve the aims and the goals of 2025, that project. And here we are. And so many people went to the polls in 2024, Darrell Jones, and they said, you know what, we're going to vote, we're going to vote, we're going to vote, we're going to vote for Trump. And they did. It's not a mandate, but they did vote. And he got the majority of the votes according to the information that we have that's official. And now many people who voted for him are showing up at Bernie Sanders Fight the Oligarchy rallies. Because they're saying, wait a minute, I did not sign up for this. The Doge cuts, wait a minute, because they're impacting not only the public sector, but the private sector. I didn't sign up for the cutting of Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. Wait a minute. Change is happening so fast. It's so rapid. And in many ways, it seems so cruel. It's so callous. Anytime you have one of the wealthiest men in the world, depending upon the time of day, Elon Musk is the wealthiest guy in the world, publicly anyway. There are families that are wealthier. Hard to fathom, but it's true. And so here we are, everybody. He's got a chainsaw on the stage telling us he is going to just get things. We're going to take not a scalpel, but a chainsaw to all of this waste, fraud, and abuse, and people are outraged. So now, initially, you had Republicans who were taking the hits, but now Democrats are having their congressional town hall meetings and taking hits too. People are saying to Democrats, I know you're not in the majority, but I need you to do your job. And Republicans are hearing, wait a minute, I didn't vote for this. So either way, everybody's in a pickle because the former head of the Social Security Administration, the former governor of Maryland, said 30 to 60 days, 30 to 90 days. He said this about 4 or 5 weeks ago, Lavoni Perryman, correct me if I'm wrong. He said these checks will stop coming because the system's going to collapse. Think about that, everybody. They're closing the Social Security offices. They're forcing the elderly and the physically impaired and disabled to go in to prove that they're alive. That's what we're seeing. So let's talk about this. I think I've laid it out for you. But as we get to it, I need your help with the algorithm, everybody. So I need you to like and share the show. Like and share the show. Meet me on Blue Sky, santitajackson.bsky. That's social. Meet me on X at Santita J. Santita Jackson and friends. That is the only place where I can accept new friends, everybody. Please go there and become my friend. Become my friend there and go to the Santita Jackson show. And everybody, pass the show along. I need you to do that. It helps us with the algorithm. What ends up happening is I'm finding that we look at shows that we had several months ago and we end up getting 1.5, 2 million, 3 million views over time. We need to speed that up. Okay, so would you all help us out with that? Please, please, please like and share the show. Like and share the show in real time. Hey, Kenneth Bush. Hey, everybody. All of those who I do not see. Sending you so much love. I've got an all-star lineup here. Oh, my goodness. It's like the Hollywood Squares. Bing, bing, bing. And so everybody, let's jump in, open up the mic, and let's talk about this. We've got Lavonia Perryman, veteran journalist, award-winning journalist. Veteran of presidential campaigns, the Jackson campaign. That's where I met you before then. But of course, we got Josh Feinstein, Jews and Allies of Michigan, sending you so much love. Ariel Gold, executive director of Fellowship of Reconciliation. I'm hearing something in the background. Everybody, make sure we have it clean. Dr. LaShawn Latrice, everybody, be careful what you say because she is a community psychologist. The nut alert, everybody. Attorney Darrell Jones, chairman of the Transformative Justice Coalition. Of course, his radio show, along with Barbara Arnline, is every Tuesday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on WOLDC, chairman of the Transformative Justice Coalition. They need your support and they deserve it. And we've got T.O. Hardeman. What's the name of your book, T.O.?
Interrupting Gun Violence, the Public Health Approach. And you can find the book on Amazon and also host a radio show on WVON 1690 AM every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Thank you very much. There you go. Just before we come up on Keep Up Alive from 7 to 9. Yes. And we got attorney Linda Bernard, police commissioner out of Detroit. And yes, and we all say, but we love Linda because all opinions are welcome here. This is a global show. We take a global view. A lot of people take different bites at this apple. Okay. And what we ask is that we be respectful of each other and be embracing of each other. One of the things that my father learned from Vice President Hubert Humphrey, just before he died, really a couple of weeks before he died, Ariel, he asked my father to come up and see him in Minnesota. And he'd been at our convention several months before, and it was very clear that the cancer had him. And it was painful to see. But he said, these last few minutes that I have here, Jesse, I want to talk with you because my father was not 40 yet. He said, you're a young man, but I see big things for you. I think you're going to change this country. And if you don't change the East, you're going to change the world. I see you. And I want to share some things with you before I go. One of the things that I want to share with you is that, I just spoke with Richard Nixon, and my father said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." And I spoke with him. He said, "Because the fights are over now. There's a time to fight, and there's a time to reconcile." And we had a wonderful conversation because basically we've been in the same arena, and you respect people who've been in that arena. So, you know, there's a time to fight and there's a time to reconcile. And let's be clear on that. So, everyone, I'm hearing something in the background. Let's just make sure we have everything quiet. I'm going to get right to it. These town hall meetings, they are so contentious. They're really at the top of the news cycle. So I want everyone to weigh in on that. Ariel, you were shaking your head first. What do you make of it? Because now, first you heard, okay, the Republicans taking incoming fire. Okay. But now Democrats are being told, don't tell me that you're in the minority. I don't want to hear it. What are you going to do to fight, Ariel?
Show me that you're in the minority by putting up just a little bit of resistance, even, right? We have Democrats who, I mean, well, we shouldn't be surprised after campaigning with Liz Cheney. We've got Chuck Schumer just rolling over, being like, oh, let's pass this budget. Not even the facade of a fight. So of course people are upset in the town halls. Like, yeah, you're in the minority. So at least be upset, right? Be angry, do something, do whatever you can. I mean, we had Chuck Schumer just talking about the war in Gaza and saying that it's because Palestinians don't recognize the Jewish religion and the Torah. I mean, just ridiculousness. And that is our leadership. So, of course, constituents are angry. They have every reason to be angry. And, I think the real question here is, does the Democratic Party do we take stock and realize that people are angry and upset? And this is our moment. This is our moment to listen to the people and to put forward something alternative, like truly alternative time. And we see Bernie Sanders and AOC doing so. But what we also see is the party fighting them. And so I think what people need to see, because people are upset and angry and scared. I'm upset and angry and scared. So people want to see that. And when the Democrats are in power, Republicans show that to their base and constituents. They fight with everything they have, even if it's very little. They do whatever they can to prevent things from going forward, and they, are loud. And this is the question: do the Democrats rise to the occasion, or do we just pile dirt on our coffin?
Ooh, ouch. Livonia, you and Ariel are veterans of the Democratic wars. And Ariel pulled me into the DNC meeting just to don't worry, girl. I don't know if I can forgive you for it. But you know what? I'll tell you.
I could hang out with you, Santita.
I love you, but I learned a lot. And I'm glad I needed to see who the Democratic Party, I mean, who are they? Right? Okay, and can they reach the people who need to be reached? Livonia, what do you make of these meetings? Are you surprised that they're so contentious?
Well, as you know me well, excuse me, thank you so very much for always inviting me to be among these wonderful people. I am not surprised. I am disappointed in America, not the individuals per se, but I am disappointed in America in terms of the individuals that are within and make up America that didn't read the tea leaves before November of last year. What we're looking at today is only chapter 2 of the whole outline that was played out in Trump's words, between all the people eating dogs and cats and all that kind of stuff. But what he said, he meant it. And I always think of Maya Angelou. When someone tells you or shows you, you have to take it in and believe it. We, myself included, we saw it unfold in front of us. It's almost like in watching Jurassic Park. And you say, well, Jurassic Park in the last 30 years, they've always had dinosaurs. Well, they probably won't have dinosaurs this time. We'll just go and watch it. Well, dinosaurs ate the people this time too, again. And so it has not changed. The Republican Party has not changed. Only what they have done is elevated a situation that is engulfing not only just Democrats, not only just African Americans, Asians, Hispanics, Arab Americans, and their own. Who eats their own? Republicans. And what you're seeing at these town hall meetings is these conversations that people feel that they're being attacked by the people they love, by the people who wrote the articles. And you're saying, well, wait a minute. I didn't know that meant you meant me. Yes, America, we meant you. You are included. They didn't say, well, you got an R over here and a D over there, and you get in that line. Just today, SBA is they're actually within the White House. They're talking about taking these loans from the school, from the Department of Education, dropping them over at SBA. Then at the same time, they're talking about dismissing 40% of the staff at SBA. Now, tell me, they're going to go nitpicking? No, that means Republicans, I'm talking to you today, Republicans, you are part of that lineup of 40%. Also, guess what? You're part of the people who were receiving loans for scholarships for your child, your grandchild. Your grandchild was receiving loans. And today, right now today, your own party is saying, you might not receive one next year, and the children of the children that are coming forth. So that's what I'm concerned about. Am I surprised? No. Disappointed? Yes. What do we do about it? With this illustrious group of people, we probably have one or two answers among us.
Daryl Jones, what say you? Because you're in the DMV. You're in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and I know you're seeing it first. But 80% of federal workers are in the United States and the rest of the country.
And it's incredible to watch the impact that all of this is happening. And I tell you, I go back to an interview or conversation, a meeting that I was in with the president of the American Federation of Government Employees. And what the brother Everett laid out was that the American Federation of Government Employees were pushing for the Democrats to stay on board to have the government shut down. They were doing that because they believed that the only way they would have voice and be heard is if the government was shut down, is if the Democrats stayed united and pushed forward. When that did not happen, I think that was just the talk, whatever it is, the stick that broke the camel's back, right? That did it, because it was at that point that those that are committed Democrats were like, well, what's going on here? Here was the opportunity for you to have this voice and have the people's voices heard, and you let it slip through your hands.
But
and
wait a minute,
I say
Daryl,
that, and I want to be.
Because then let me ask you this, because it was Schumer who broke ranks. Hakeem Jeffries held everybody together on the House side. And that's why they're all, Ariel, Livonia, Josh, everybody, they're shocked on the House side. You're like, wait a minute, we held the line. We had a deal. We did what we did on the House side. And then you made this decision on the Senate side, and what? And you broke everything apart.
And that was
why
the
did
straw.
AFGE? Why were they willing to let the government shut down?
They were willing to let the government shut down because they realized that government employees were under attack, and they were going to continue to be under attack. And the only way they were going to have any voice to be able to fight back was for the Democrats to stand up and start fighting back for the governmental employees. And they didn't do that. The House did that. Let me correct myself. All but one Democratic member of the House did that. And when it was on the Senate side is when Senator Schumer and the 8 other Democratic senators crossed over and really turned their back on their House Democrats that were there and on the Democrats that were across this country that were looking for them to be the firewall to stop a lot of the aggression and a lot of techniques and tactics that were coming from this administration. What they demonstrated by doing that, Santita, is that Senator Schumer, was not up to the task. He was not up to standing up for these people. And that's what you're seeing that's happening across this country now. Folks are saying that the Democrats are the minority party. Well, that's fine. You can be the minority party. But what we need now is to be the opposition party. The minority party just means you don't have the numbers. The opposition party means you're taking a stand and you're pushing forward. That's what the people are looking for, is the opposition to what's going on now. And that's what's missing. What can be done? One of the things that I continue to push for, and I'll continue to push for, is that even as the minority party, opposition party, whatever language you want to use, you can still call for field hearings. Because what needs to happen is that you need to get out into the field, out to the people, so the people know that you're standing with them, that you're raising that issue wherever you go. That's one of the things that can be there. Force the Republicans to say, we're not going to show up at the field hearings. We're not going to make what they're saying out there part of the congressional record. That's what needs to happen. They need an action plan that brings the people in to let them know that they're standing with the masses of the people in opposition to the oligarch and the moves that are being made, Santita.
Josh, what say you? Of course, you participated very, very you were in the middle of that uncommitted movement. And
So
just help me to understand, what are you seeing now?
So I thought it was enlightening and interesting how you started the show with context about since the turn of the millennium. That you showed how we got here, and so give me a moment to go back there as a lifelong Democrat, who's someone was very excited when Obama got in, and went through those first Bush years, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to bring it back down to, again, Gaza again. The reason I'm bringing it back down to Gaza is it's not that I'm a single issue person. It's just that what's happened and continues to happen in Gaza laid bare what our party is and who it is as Democrats. And what I saw from 2023 onward, which really was it was a surprise to me, because I always thought, where are the good guys? I thought, we're the good guys. And then through that, seeing I'm going to digress a little bit more. I remember being a New Yorker, there was a film about a guy with a halal food cart, being attacked and harassed and threatened by someone who said they were from the State Department. So he said, I'm going to make you lose your job. I'm going to get deported. I remember this. It was about a year during Gaza. And then it turns out it was 2023 when this video came out. Turns out the guy was a high-ranking Obama official.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that's when it was explained to me here in Michigan that the racism, more importantly, and I must say, the lining of the pockets, the self-interest, it's not anything new. It's been going on within our party systemically for a long time. Long story short, we set the table. And as Lavonia said, don't be surprised. I am not surprised. I'm not even disappointed, because I thought this is what was going to happen in 2016 at the time when I thought that this was the way things would go immediately then. The fact that Trump has said, this is what I'm doing now. I've said before, and I'll keep on saying again, I'd rather we get stabbed in the chest than continue to get stabbed in the back. When people stab us in the chest, we can figure out what to do next. And we don't point fingers about they're doing it to us. We figure out, what are we going to do? So what are we doing here in Michigan? In Michigan, we are actually trying to, with the Michigan Democratic Party, we are trying to build our power now. Even though things are, quote, falling apart outside of us, the Michigan Democratic Party has similar issues to the country. And we went to the convention. We did our negotiations. And even today, I literally just got off a call where we're organizing with the State Central Committee, our allies. So that's what we're doing, is we're saying, what can we control? What can we control? we actually find it, okay, we look at our own world, control that, and make those small steps. Last thing I'm going to say is, I find it, I shouldn't be emotional, but I find it incredulous that when Bernie Sanders continues to stand up for what he honestly believes in, agree with him or not, that our own party again attacks him. They did it years ago. And even just yesterday, one of the senators, and I'm not going to give them satisfaction of giving their name for airtime, one of the senators said, well, what has Bernie Sanders done? You know, he is doing much more than just doing a circular fighting squad. So,
wait a minute, Josh, he's
yeah.
giving voice
Exactly.
to people's concerns. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, what I'm like, what do you, Livonia? We lived through this with Jesse Jackson.
One last thing I want to point out is
like,
that
what does he want? I mean, are you serious?
These people are coming in enraged at Democrats, and then they come to those town halls. Bernie was just here last week, overflowing with the yes, Livonia, remember thousands, and just hanging on his word because he's walks the walk. Yeah, Livonia knows he walks the walk, and instead of actually supporting him, our own party is still trying to drag him down. You know,
and yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that
he's not a Democrat.
Wait a minute,
he
hold
tells
on,
you,
Linda.
give him
We're coming
voice.
to you. No, Livonia, but Linda, I'm going to come to you.
No,
Linda,
it's okay.
Livonia.
I just wanted to say, but you said our own party. He's not a Democrat. So why would you expect him to be? He's a socialist.
Tomato. He caucuses with us, and he has our beliefs.
Socialism is, because we're a mix. Because Medicare and Social Security and Medicaid, that's socialist, okay?
Social program.
People are a mix. He is a democratic socialist who caucuses with the Democrats.
Thank you.
And that is his business. I mean, Mitt Romney was an independent until he ran for president. So, I mean, people do what they do, and they caucus the way they caucus. But let me let Livonia finish, because I want to give you the floor.
No, go ahead.
Very short. Number one, he's giving voice to those who may not have a voice. The Democrats, if we want to just define them, they could do the same thing. They could stand up for us and speak our truth. They can be there in an arena or school or church or synagogue or a mosque. They can speak. No one is holding anybody back from them speaking, just so everybody will be clear. Hello. Number two, Democrats need to be part, I keep telling them, Ariel, of the resistance. We can slow the road that's coming out of the White House. We need to know how to do politics at 100, as they would say in the community. You slow the road. You know what the playbook is. Everybody has the rules. Everybody knows what the playbook is. So now you know this is about to happen on Monday. Well, you need to get your game plan together on Sunday and slow the process. Democrats can do that. I am convinced we are not giving up on the Democrats. And anyone else who's going to speak to us and it can be socialist, otherwise, I'm not giving up on anyone who's giving me a platform, a voice, or speak on my behalf. Not doing it.
And I'm not going to let you take my voice away, because if I'm critical of the Democrats or anybody, that's my business. And as an adult, I have the right to do that. And I have an obligation. It's just like sitting in your church in the pew and not having any critique of the pastor, of the way things were run, whatever. I mean, that's spiritually immature. You at least ask the question and get some answers. So yeah, but I mean, Linda, I'm sorry, Attorney Linda Bernard, your thoughts on these town halls, because you see incoming fire. Well, not even incoming fire or ire. You hear criticisms being lobbed by Democrats and Republicans. Clearly, they want they want change and they want results. Linda, what do you make of these town halls?
First of all, I love the town halls. I believe in freedom of expression and clearly the First Amendment. But the bottom line is that I think the media is making a lot of this out of this when it really isn't a lot. The demonstration in Chicago was like kind of substantive, but in reality, most of these quote town halls are just not big deals. But the media presence is what's putting it out there as it's a big deal. America, people are upset, Livonia, and they were upset with the Democrats, with the 4 years of Biden and Harris, and you know it. There's no question about it. I mean, they destroyed, and in my view anyway, the party. People are angry, and they're very upset about the way the country was going. Military down, $2 trillion in debt over what we bring in every year. In essence, bankruptcy for the country. 14 million people walking in who can't take care of themselves and who did so illegally. This is the house that you built. This is the house the Democrats built. They can't blame anybody else for it. And when it's just like when you're sick and you got to have surgery, they say, Linda, your leg is dead. You got to cut it off from the knee. That's a painful experience. So what you got to do in order to survive. And without the sort of initiatives that we've seen, barring what's happening in Gaza and Israel, which I totally disagree with, all the things that you see are designed to right the ship. The ship is laying over right now. It's got to be righted. And that's a painful experience. So and it's only been 90 days or 100 days or whatever it is. I mean, just a short period of time. And we're so busy being angry about the cure that we have not looked at the essence of why it was necessary and why it is necessary if you want to preserve the United States of America, which apparently nobody has any loyalty to anymore. We don't like the flag. We don't like the Pledge of Allegiance. We don't do anything. America's values have always been one of freedom and the ability to get ahead if you work hard. That's not what we've got now. What we've got now is as you said earlier, almost a socialist society where government.
No. I said
in some respects, not in every respect.
No. I said we're a mix, like many societies are. Everybody's a mix. I mean, Wall Street. Wall Street is capitalist until they're in trouble. Then they become socialist big time because they want my money.
With the one-page letter for $7 trillion, please.
They ain't got no problems with socialism.
When your country cannot read, write, and think. When your country cannot read, write, and think. No. Standard. This is our national standard.
No. My national standard is these folks go into my government and ask. They had already gotten $20 trillion with a T. That's a million. Okay. They no. And we got more than they have more than $20 trillion offshore. That could have offset our debt 20 years ago. So these people have been robbing us blind, and they have not been prosecuted for anything. And I love the military. I've got a grandma and a granddaddy buried over in Arlington. That ain't got nothing to do. But I'm tired of us creating offense. So we need this defense. I'm sick of that because I don't want to see anybody else die. That having been said, I don't need to defend that. But I do believe in peace. And I know that what you continue and TC, don't do that. Because Linda has a point of view and you gotta respect that, y'all. Stop it.
I didn't lie.
No. But first, you have a lived experience and I respect it even if I don't agree with it. And
I want to double down on that.
We have got to be mature enough to accept what people say, to put it in the public sphere, debate it, and then let's move on. Because at the end of the day, Republicans, Democrats, people who voted independent, progressive, right wing, ain't nobody getting checked.
Amen. Linda is the most important person here. Why? Because I certainly don't agree with any of Linda's points of view, but she's on a panel where most of us are of a very similar point of view. And Linda represents half of what the country is, where half the country's at. So it's important that you're here, Linda. Well, I'm glad you're here. And I don't agree with what you said, but I'm glad you're here to say it.
And when I call Linda, she says, oh, sure, I'm coming. And you know where I would always see Linda? At Operation Push, Rainbow Push, and Push events, 10 toes down. So stop it. Because a lot of folks who saying this, that, and another ain't trying to help nobody do nothing. And yes, I'm using the grammar that I'm using. I know how to, no. So enough. We cannot do this to each other, everybody. Because the question is now, we're in a ditch. How do we get out of it? That is what you're seeing at these meetings. And TC, I'm hearing you. She's not ignorant. This is the first Black person to get a master's in law from the University of Pennsylvania Law School. Far from that. We happened to disagree, and she and we had a disagreement before when I was inviting her on the show today. We were getting into it. I said, wait, let's save it on the air. But if she comes to Chicago, she can stay with me because that's my girl. I love her. And that's okay. I don't have to agree with her, but the respect, I know that she's not going to violate me. And I know she is unerringly loyal, and she's not lying to me about her point of view like a lot of people have in my lifetime.
Here, here.
Okay, I've seen a lot of people say one thing, Tio, and then they go in another direction. I see you on stage with somebody and go like, wait a minute, Livonia. We go like, wait. I thought you find that people's been double dealing you. What did you say? You shiv me in my chest. At least I see you coming. You get me in my back. What? There was a man following my mother through the airport during the '84 campaign. They were in Cleveland, and her friend he was behaving suspiciously. And of course, back then you had more room to get through. You could walk and meet people at the gate. Remember? Well,
Yeah.
This guy was behaving so suspiciously, and we had so many death threats. My father and all of us did. My mother's friend, Mrs. Tidmore, and the group of women said, look, and they had a couple of police with them. She said, well, Jackie, let's just get you on the plane. So she was trying to rush. My mother said no. My mother dropped her bags and she turned around. She said, if he's going to do anything, he's going to look me in my eyes and do it.
Good for her.
No, my mother's tough. She's like, I ain't playing with them. We're out here. And she stood there and he froze. And she just stood there and she waited for him to approach. And that's it. So come on, everybody. Let's, you say what you said. TC said, I have 3 degrees, 1 in math, computer science, and computer engineering. So you know what's I'm sure you do. You live in the great state of Minnesota and you have family that lives in Chicago. And I don't doubt anyone's intelligence or accomplishments or pedigrees or degrees. That's not my point. I'm talking about something that's even deeper than what you earn. I'm talking about something that's going on in our hearts. We're not able to speak to each other. And we are now creating a toxic environment that is about to get violent. And that concerns me. So let's just, I shouldn't be turning voters off. What turns voters off is when you don't give them a voice.
Correct.
Stop that.
That's true.
You got to listen to people. They shouldn't have thrown Bernie under the bus. The Democrats were wrong for that. At least the Republicans were smart enough not to do that to Trump. And look at where he is. What can you imagine a world that we would have had if they had let Bernie go? Because I think Bernie could have won. He's the most popular elected official in the United States today. If there's a rumor that Bernie's going to show up, 10, 20, 30, 50,000 people show up anywhere in the middle of the street in the snow. But he's in the Senate. And I got Donald Trump in the White House. What? Theo?
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be here. I was a little tired early because I've been up early this morning, but this was going on. We have a guy in the White House that has an axe to grind with a lot of people, and it doesn't make no sense in reality because he's making blanket decisions on working class people, and it's harming a lot of people psychologically, mentally, and in their pocket. And then you got a billionaire, soon to be trillionaire, making comments about Social Security. He's out of his league, out of his place, because someone should look at Social Security with his company. In other words, I'm just putting it out there. But this is the reality. We have a far way to go right now. And I'm hoping that the country can stay strong. The working class people and all the people that believe in the United States can stay strong under this administration, because there appears to be some problems that are going to be ahead of us. I can foresee a lot of things going kind of wrong right now. I'm saying this because I'm transparent too, Santita. Yeah. I was looking at Donald Trump when he was running because I liked the way he talked myself. I was honest with everybody. I was leaning towards Donald Trump without a doubt. But now that he's in that seat, I'm beginning to see some things. I didn't vote for him. I want to put that out there. And I'll just be transparent with the people watching now. I voted for myself. I'm just being straight up with you all. It didn't get me nowhere, but I voted for myself. But the thing is, I wasn't going to go that far. But the reality is that you got people. See, what's messing me up with Trump right now, every comment he makes is all about retribution. He wants to pay somebody back. He just revoked Biden's access to the White House. Somebody else, come on, man, why are you doing this kind of stuff? It doesn't make no sense because
but Theo,
yes.
Theo, baby, he said he was going to do that.
I know that.
Yes.
I mean, but
he said it. You
it's
didn't
petty
believe
to
he was
me.
going to do it?
Yeah.
But to me, it's petty politics. You got these young rappers out here on social media going back and forth like little bitty kids. You got grown men going back and forth. It's like in the United States, it's become like if I'll put it like this: if we're against each other, we're going to be enemies for life. It makes no sense. Where's the restorative justice in the calmer, cooler heads prevail and show the people by leadership that we can kind of do better than this because you got kids watching people in high level positions. Then we got this tit for tat society going on. Tit for tat society taking place with the man in the White House. Come on now. I wish I could talk to him and just tell him to shut up one day. I'm just being straight up with you. I mean, I don't want to go too deep on your show, Santita, but I'm that kind of guy. But the moral of the story is this. You asked me to come on. I just want to say that I don't like what I'm seeing so far with some of the decisions he's making right now. Things might get better, but there's a chance that things can get much worse when it comes down to working class. That's what I'm concerned about. He got rid of the Department of Education. You're talking about laying off all those federal employees. These people have bills. They have real bills, mortgages. They have, kids going to school. I mean, people, you don't want to live in uncertain times. And there's no need for us to be living in uncertain times in regards to Social Security. It's been around forever, right? Some people don't have pensions. I mean, it's been around for a while.
Since Roosevelt. That's it.
That's a sense, since Roosevelt, for sure. But this the reality is some people do not have pensions when they retire. They're depending on their Social Security. You do away with Social Security, you're going to have a lot of people, man. It's going to be like the Great Depression that took place. People are going to be jumping out of windows. I mean, I don't want to just do no fear factor thing, but people are going to lose it because therefore they're not going to have anything coming in. You already have a lot of people living on a fixed income. We're not asking for a handout, but people need help out here. Trump he has to learn how to stop making blanket decisions on people because he's mad at somebody else. That's the point I'm making. So that means he's going to take it out on the world because of his issue. Plus, and last thing I want to say, he's carrying himself like a dictator to a degree. He's not going to get away with it, but the reality is that he wants to be the guy. The buck stops with him. He's going to call all the shots. And then a lot of people can't even say anything about him because they figure like it can be some reprisals. I'm serious. People are scared to say anything. I'm talking about on his side, the Republican side, and maybe some Democrats just the same, because he's going to target you. He has the money to see. He has the money to target you as well. That makes him dangerous. Right. That makes him dangerous. Okay.
Has poured at least $12 million into the Supreme Court race in Wisconsin.
I know. I just took a look at that today. But that's what makes him dangerous, everybody. He has the money to change hearts and minds and put a lot of misinformation out there in the universe. So, I mean, I'll leave it at that, Santita. That's my, those are my comments.
Do the same thing. They put money in races.
But it's all wrong.
Yeah.
They put behind the vice president.
But
That's correct. That's correct what you're saying, Attorney Lemon.
Wrong. My thing
now,
is
both parties put money out there, Santita.
Right. The dark money in politics is killing our politics.
That's right.
I don't care if it's from the right or the left. It's wrong.
Yes, it is.
I agree.
It's wrong. But we haven't heard from now. The doctors heard everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. She is deemed a nut. So go for it, doctor.
Thank you for having me on the show. I am enjoying this conversation. What I see happening is outrage from people who did not anticipate this magnitude of changes and chaos that's going on. I think some of the very, very same people that supported President Trump are some of the very same people impacted right now. And so you have equal chaos across the board. I'm not going to get into whether the Democrats or the Republicans did something, because when I hear this silence on one side, that shows me complicity. I'm going to rule on the side of saying that they have a strong part in what's going on, what's being allowed to take place. And because of the fact that so many people are impacted, I think this fear factor thing that's going on around here is something to catch people's attention now. Those people who thought they were disconnected from this or that, and this doesn't affect them. Now they're seeing that there is a direct effect. I mean, across the board, you can't even pick one area. You know, people who are impacted in every single change that has been made and all those that are to come. But at the same time, this war that we have from the leadership of the country is absolutely detrimental to the unity of the people. There's no way in the world we're going to be able to gather people together if you have one person or two people at the helm of things and they're just causing utter chaos. And it's causing now people who thought they'd never say things against President Trump, they're now the ones out there protesting as well. So these town halls, people have a right to be enraged. I say this: it's nothing wrong with civil outcry. It's nothing wrong with people voicing what is impacted, because when they go home, they have to contend with not having enough money to buy their groceries or pay their medical bills or send their kids to school or whatever the case may be. All of these things are going to be a domino effect, and they're going to continue to roll unless people stand up and say something who have the authority to stop it. And right now, I just think that it's too much silence across the board. So it's going to take us, these grassroots people like us, people who are not afraid to have the conversations. Because when you go home, you do not want to always have to think about all the trauma you faced when you walked outside of your house. It's just too much going on right now.
Well, you know what? And Ethelene says that she voted for Trump and she does not regret it. I respect that. And I appreciate the fact that you tune into the show. You're a faithful listener, Ethelene. Really appreciate you, because it's tough when you go into a space where you know that, or you speculate that I'm going to disagree with the people, with the majority of the opinions. And it takes that kind of spirit to get us through this moment. Because now there was a semaphore reporter who was covering one of Bernie Sanders' rallies just a few days ago. And he said, I was trying to find Kamala supporters. I was surrounded by Trump people. Because people are like, oh, people have buyer's remorse all the time. I bought this blouse I was going to wear this morning. And I said, why did I ever buy this? Oh, really, that happens. And because people, sometimes you have to go touch water to know it's wet. A friend of mine used to tell me that all the time. But here we are. Here we are. So you know what? We're going to continue these conversations. I only have, regrettably, about 7 or 8 more minutes with all of you. But I promise you, I'm going to get you, this rowdy Randy bunch, together again. Well, no, because I think, you know what? This kind of conversation is really healthy, because people are getting heard. And I hope that you feel that this is a respectful platform, even as I hear all this scratching in the background. I love you. That's crazy. But I'm gonna go around here and get closing thoughts from everybody. Tio, let's begin with you.
No, only thing I would say in closing is that I plan to continue to pray for our country. I know and I love the United States, but with all some of the problems we have. And I'm also praying for the leadership of the country, because God works in mysterious ways. He might send some divine intercessors to Trump and say, look, man, we got to do this way. He can change his mind. I had a buddy that once told me, say, when you see an airplane turning around in the sky, that's him changing his mind. A good friend of mine said that. So hopefully we can get Trump to change his mind on a few things here when it comes to the ordinary people and the country and the world as a whole. Okay, we're praying for peace across the world. That's it.
Oh my goodness. And
right.
You are, of course, on WVON from 6 to 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Sunday. Please tune in. Attorney Daryl Jones, WOLDC, every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Your closing thoughts. What do we do now?
Santita, I agree with what Brother Hardiman has said, in that the problem's been defined. People see what the issue is, and the question now is, what are you going to do about it? And one of the things that we always push out is to remind people that the 2026 election is happening now. It has already started. Yeah. So it is important that you not simply pray about the change that you want, but you have to get up and do something about it. And registering to vote, identifying those candidates that are running, and perhaps yourself running for office on the issues is what can be done, Santita. That's my closing message, is for people to get off the sidewalks, get into the streets, and get something done.
And just understand that even if you get into a race and you don't have money and you are not perfect, let people know nobody's perfect. What I'm trying to do is be present and serve. Let it go. Everybody, that's what I'm saying. Everybody just stop. Ain't nobody perfect. We all have innards, everybody. Thank you very much. I have spoken. Dr. LaShawn Latrice.
I just want to say to those people who are in those positions that they can let their voices be heard. And I'm speaking of those in congressional and Senate capacities, and they feel like they're going to become targets. We got to remember, we got to have their backs too, because it's not very many of them that will open up their mouths and speak up on behalf of the people. But I noticed that there's a distinct idea to just zap them out. And we have to remember to have their back because they're few and far between. So let's just keep that in mind. And I would swap Bernie for President Trump any day. Just wanted to say that.
Any day. Josh Feinstein, Jews and Allies of Michigan.
Great panel today. Great discussion. Great debate. I really want to dovetail off of what Darrell Jones said. Focus on what we can impact, what we can change, figure out what that is, and just get down to work. You know, I understand people are afraid. I really do. I understand the uncertainty, the fear, the focus on where we can make progress. So, and on this end of Michigan, that's exactly what we're doing here. Feel free to join us, by the way. There's a whole coalition here. Jews and Allies is just one small part of a huge coalition of progressives that are working together. But I'm always glad to be here. Thank you. Cheers.
Oh, you're part of the family. You know that. Attorney Linda Bernard, you part of the family too. And yes, she is Black and she's not a chick. She's a woman. Thank you, CC. She is Black.
Tell him pretty woman. While we get to the point. The heck with them. Back to the point, though. The bottom line is that in so many ways, in my opinion, America has cancer. This is a radical, we are looking at radical solutions to extraordinarily serious problems that have existed for decades now. We know that we don't need 3 million government employees. We already know that. So for example, taking the Department of Education people who have been doing loans, FBA does business loans. If it was your company, you would merge the two. You would not have all this superfluous people, and of course, personnel is your largest line item. But I think that one of the things that we need to consider is what Andrew Yang said when he was running for president. Do you remember when he was talking about there being too many people, too many government employees, incidentally, who couldn't write an essay on what they did the previous week? Remember that was one of the Doge requirements. How did you make a difference? What did you do that? They couldn't write it. They didn't know what they did because they're not doing anything. That's of any substance. But back to the point. Yang said that we are moving towards a society because of technology, because of robots, because of AI, where American citizens should be paid. He said then, I think it's a $12,000 or $14,000 stipend each person, because there's not going to be enough work for Americans to do unless they totally retrain, reskill, all that kind of stuff. So we are moving there, and the mere fact that you have millions of square feet of space empty. Well, government employees say, "Well, I can work at home." That's all. That is out. That's a different subject.
But Linda, it is. But I need you.
We don't need it. We've got to be intelligent and conservative about our resources, just like you are with respect to your home. That's it. I mean,
okay.
Government.
But remember, we have all this open space post-COVID. Everything changed. COVID.
Yeah, but that's water under the bridge. We can't change it.
No, it's not. We're living in a post-COVID world. Things have changed. But I want us to have that discussion, like you said, another day, because I got a heart out. Love you, Linda. Love everybody here.
Love you more.
I love you the most. Okay, Ariel Gold, before I have a conniption fit.
I'm going to echo you, Santita, and appreciate folks that have different opinions because, yeah, our country is in a really severe crisis. And one of the things that we need to be doing is looking to each other and seeing where those of us with different opinions converge, right? Because I often say this in my family sometimes, since we're a Jewish family and we have some different opinions on issues of Israel, Palestine. Like, there's more that we agree upon than there is that we disagree. Those of us who are working class Americans, who are not the oligarchs, we may see different ways of coming about it, but we want the same thing. So let's come together and let's see what we have in common, and let's fight like hell, because times are times are tough, and we are in a crisis here.
And let's talk these things through, everybody. Livonia, you get the final word. 1 minute.
Right. I would like to share with people that they can do something besides, become hostile towards one another, angry towards one another, and hide in a corner about being fearful. I would like to suggest that Mrs. Jones and Mr. Jones, little Susie and little Jane, and Dick and Jane, whomever, that they can hold up, they can slow this road by one writing a text, a letter, or just making their voice be heard. One, you do not have to wait for Bernie. Just so everybody will know, you do not have to wait for Bernie to tell your story. We have the social media is open to everybody. I would strongly suggest a man like Trump, if he sees that Dick and Jane and Joan and everybody else is saying, wait a minute, why are you firing my mom or dad? It's just like that argument we used to have. They would send the kids home. Why are you still smoking, mother and dad? That was a cancer, as you know, Linda. And Linda, they were trying to prevent cancer from infiltrating our community through smoking. That campaign turned out to be very successful. So the moms and dads, the little girls and little boys and little sisters, you can do something to save America. Just write a note. Say something on your social media about what you expect that the president of the United States should be doing for you and your family. Just do that alone this week. I'm telling you, if we continue to do that on a regular basis, who knows what could happen when you have someone who is just so sensitive in the White House.
Well, just think about it. Frederick Douglass put it this way: it's easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men. It's easy to take things apart. It's hard to rebuild them. Federal government employment has been shrinking 80 years. 80 years ago, 4.5% of the country were federal workers. Now, up until now, it was down to 1.5% and shrinking. The world is changing. But when I've spent time overseas, what they do, particularly in Denmark and Sweden and places like that, because that's where I spent a lot of time, they have re-education programs. So when you lose a job or you want to quit a job, they make a pathway for you to be trained into something else as the world changes. In America, we're not doing that. In America, we throw a lot of things away, including people, and we cannot afford to do that. So everybody fits somewhere. My pastor would say, I've never seen God make a mouth he couldn't feed, and I've never seen God have a vision without making provision. We're all visions of God, and there's enough on this earth for us to not just survive, but to thrive. Everybody can get what it is that they need. And we need to make sure that happens. Let's have some compassion for people. A lot of people are having their lives blown apart. They shouldn't have to lose their homes over these things. They've been working hard every day. A lot of people your jobs are so complex, it's hard to break down what you do from day to day to day. Our federal employees work real hard. I go into hotels now and they're cleaning the rugs with robots. And I have to tell you, when you go after federal employees, it is offensive to me. My grandmother, Gertrude, who's buried in Arlington, she was one of those persons in the hospital who pushed the cart with the food on it and she would serve you. Now, maybe they'll have a robot doing that someday. But I think that when you are in a hospital and no one's visiting you, and no one cares to have someone come in and ask you how you're doing, I think that means something. So we have to find a way to win by addition, not just by subtraction. That's all I'm saying. We can have a discussion about this. You don't just have to have an executive order and cut people off. It's not right. It's not right. And you can't have a department flunk 7 consecutive audits, and they're the last people who we examine. Something about that ain't working. So everybody, I hear you, and you're right, Ethelene. All federal employees do not work hard. All people don't work hard. A lot of people don't do that. But these federal employees that I know, we don't miss paychecks. We don't miss a day. And the government does not run by itself. They run the government. So let's not do that. Stop doing that. Please don't insult people. Don't do that. Let's be bigger than that. I love you, everybody. Whew, what a conversation. Yikes. But I love it. I love you all. And I thank all of you, whatever your points of view, with all of my heart. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for being involved on the panel and in the Morning Stars, because together we will make this thing right. Together, whether we agree or disagree. We don't have to be disagreeable. We don't have to call people out of their names. We can disagree without being disagreeable. And you know what? The commandment, not the suggestion, the commandment is that we love one another. That's the first thing you have to do. So do that. Let's start loving each other. I didn't say like, love. That's it. In the next hour, let's talk about the latest in the Middle East. What is going on with that? Now they have officially crossed the 50,000 death mark. But actually, it's many, many more than that, according to the Lancet study. More than 200,000 people have been killed. And it is of prime importance that we discuss this. More of the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio in just a few minutes.